I was so isolated when I was using. I had a lot of fair weather friends, mostly at the bar, but when I was like in real desperate need, there was only a couple people I could call on. And coming into AA, it's really important. Like, you have to build your community. I know the phone is really heavy at times, but when you learn to pick it up, it's like your life opens up.
Hi, my name is Isabel, and you're listening to The Sober Spill. Today we are here with my friend Meghan. Today I'm here with Meghan, my good friend, my sponsor, my case manager when I was in rehab, and a woman who has my heart. So for the people that don't know you, who are you?
Hi, I'm Meghan Bresnahan. I'm a person in recovery. I'm also the director of clinical partnerships for Lifeskills in the Northeast.
And Lifeskills is in Florida, yes?
It is.
So you travel down for work, but you're up here. So does that mean you work to build relationships with places in the New England area?
Yeah. Yep. All across New England, up to Maine, from New York to Maine. Build clinical partnerships.
It's too much driving.
Yeah, but I like driving. A lot of audiobooks.
Oh, yeah, that's smart. Go podcast. Yeah, you put yes on when you're on the way.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to listen to my own voice.
I know, we love self-involvement. Yeah. So you're a person in recovery. How long have you been sober now?
I have been sober since November 14th, 2015. So that's 9 years and 5 months, maybe.
Hopefully.
I don't know. I can't confirm. Something around there. Yeah.
Okay. And so when I ask this to a lot of people that come on, because I'd like to know, when is a lot of us have that moment where we knew that there was a problem, that our drinking and our drug use wasn't normal, despite how much we tried to convince ourselves of that? What was that moment for you, if you have one?
Honestly, it probably didn't happen until I was in rehab. I think that I was fighting it for so long, and I remember listening to someone's story while I was in rehab, and she was talking about this, her 23-year-old son who was drunk driving and died. And it kind of hit me at that moment. I was like, wow, I was drunk driving and I ended up in the hospital, but that could have gone, another way. And I think it was then that I realized that this wasn't just, an oopsie. Yeah, I'm in rehab. This is an actual issue, and I was really lucky to be alive. And I think it took a little bit of sobriety time to want to be alive too.
100%. That's something that I talk about all the time. Yeah. So the building a life of the wildest dreams. It's a lot of the times part of that is wanting to be alive at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I think you and I have had that conversation too, where it's we wanted death for so long, and now it's we fear death.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Now I'm so scared. I'm always on WebMD.
Yeah, I know, right?
This is over for me.
I was before I picked you up.
And so you work for Lifeskills now, but you are a long-time professional in this field. You've worked in a myriad of different roles in a myriad of different places.
Yeah.
And what got you into, what appealed to you about the business development partnership field?
Honestly, I think I got a little burnt from direct client care. It is a lot. I definitely want to integrate that into my career a little bit later down the road. But I really love working with people to find, my passion is finding treatment for individuals who can't find treatment. I think we have a really big gap, in America, where it's you have to fit a certain profile to get treatment. You can't have an ED. You can't have, co-occurring mental health, or it can't be too acute. There's so many rule outs. And as a business development professional now, I can work with places that have rule ins rather than rule outs. And working with this team, it's not just the team at Lifeskills. It's really the team across the Northeast that I work with to help these individuals. Even if they're not coming to Lifeskills, I still really take pride in being able to help someone on the other end of the phone. And it's just in a different capacity. And I do enjoy making my own schedule as well. Let's say that is a nice part. but just being able to be exposed to so many different practices, so many different people, it's just really been eye-opening. And yeah, I've really liked it.
And it's nice having a place that can treat more highly acute people, because there's a lot of hopelessness, obviously, when people are seeking treatment. And then when you're seeking treatment and all the places are like, whoa, we can't take your kid, like that can be incredibly debilitating for a family to hear.
Absolutely. It's exhausting too for family members. A lot of because we do take more acute cases, a lot of the phone calls I get are moms just, typically I talk to the mom, but they're just at a point where they are so exhausted. They just, they've spent at least the last 6 days on the phone talking to a bunch of different treatment programs. They've at this point, they can't keep names straight. And they just, they feel hopeless. And that is why I love working where I work, because we can give people that hope.
Yeah, and I know that's how my mom felt. My mom was obsessed with you, as you know. But that's how she felt, trying to get me into places when it's like, you're a treatment program, please help my child. And they're like, we can't.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with your mom, too. I'd just like to note that.
Yeah, well, she's a good lady.
She is.
So what makes Lifeskills different, and what is Lifeskills for someone that hasn't heard of it?
Yeah, so Lifeskills is an inpatient mental health facility. We offer a full continuum of care. So from every, the starting point of detox all the way to IOP and transitional living. And we've been around for over 30 years. We were one of the first facilities in Florida to be duly licensed. So we work with mental health mostly, but of course, we can treat co-occurring SUD. But we really are known for taking acute mental health. That's if you bring up Lifeskills with someone, they'll be like, oh yeah, those ones usually, yeah. But something what sets us apart, it has to be our clinical program. We employ mostly doctoral level clinicians. All of our clinicians are intensively trained in their area of expertise. So, Marsha Linehan, are you familiar?
I'm sorry, as someone who's attended so many DVT IOPs, I have a visceral reaction.
You're not the first person who.
Yeah.
So most, any client or any clinician that is practicing DVT has been intensively trained through the Linehan Institute. Our family therapists have all been Gottman trained. And then our clinicians who are using EXRP have been intensively trained through the University of Pennsylvania. So that is really what sets us apart, is just being able to deliver really quality clinical care. And that's, why I love Lifeskills. I really didn't have that attention to detail, I think, in the early parts of my career. But the more I paid attention to what was around me, and the more I just had more desire to work somewhere that, was like-minded, where I wanted to work somewhere that delivers this quality care. And like I said before, somewhere that can take, these acute cases that a lot of people will just turn away. My mantra is kind of not that my mom needs treatment, but I want to work somewhere where where I would be comfortable sending my mom. And Lifeskills is exactly that. And yeah, so I would say really what sets us apart is the doctoral level clinicians, just being able to truly build an individualized treatment plan. They're not all in the same group. We have 4 or 5 groups offered in the same hour, and they're attending the group that is most clinically appropriate for them.
That's awesome. That's really impressive. And I like that you said think about your mom. That's even with Mountainside, something we always stress the importance of is the loved one standard of care.
Yeah.
If my loved one was to struggle, I want to work somewhere that I would be this is the program that you need. But it's so important to have individualized training, because obviously coming out the gate, getting your master's, getting your LCSW, getting your LMFT, you have a really rigorous training and higher level of education, but there are all these very specific issues that require a special touch.
Yeah.
And I know Mountainside does stuff like that now. They've invested a lot of money into training their clinical team with trauma training as of late, IFS, EMDR training, but That's really important. And I like that it has the options with the groups. Like, are there different tracks that people can do?
Yeah, so we actually have 8 different clinical pathways.
Oh my God.
And out, right? It's it's really impressive. And we call them pathways because the client's not going to be just on one pathway, right? Like if we have a client who's coming to us with, co-occurring mental health disorders, like they might need to like be doing EXRP, and then they might also need DBT. They also might have SUD. So we, typically we have like a 12-step DBT program that they can go through. So, we understand that clients can't just like be, siphoned to this one pathway. Like they need multiple.
And what is EXRP? What's the upper of that?
Exposure therapy. Most people call it like EXP or something. I don't know. We call it EXRP, but it's exposure therapy. So it's really great for clients with OCD as well as trauma.
Well, I mean, EXRP sounds cooler.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's probably why they call it EXRP.
No, that's awesome to have something built in, especially in a residential setting. Because a lot of times, for like anxiety, OCD, like PTSD, some, especially for OCD, like a lot of it, the only way through it is through it. You have to do those exposures. Yeah. So doing it in like a safe environment makes it a lot more regulated.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why we're longer term too, because we want to give them that time to work through it.
What is the length of stay in Lifeskills?
So it's typically 90 days. Like average is 70, but for someone to really complete the full program, they can be with us for 90 days. And a lot of clients are with us longer than that. They typically step down, go into our PHB IOP programming, and we have 26 houses in Florida for transitional living.
It is so much bigger. I had no idea Lifeskills was like this far reaching.
Yeah. I did not either until I started working for Lifeskills, but it's pretty fantastic. They really offer like true transitional living with 24/7 staff. They also have 24/7 on-call clinical, medical, and just really great wraparound services.
That's awesome. Transitional living for specifically mental health services, because like there's so much quality transitional living for substance use disorder, but for like mental health specific, I didn't even know that was something that existed.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Until this very moment. Yeah. And same here. I mean, we do hear way more, especially like I worked sub-primary for the greater part of my career. Yeah. So there hasn't been that much attention on, and it's necessary. There's some people who will never be able to really fully live independently. And we're a great option for that. Of course, we have a lot of partners across really nationally that we work with individuals who need longer term to, their full life to live in transitional living. So it's really been an eye-opening experience.
And where in Florida is Lifeskills?
So we have 3 different locations. Our legacy campus is in Deerfield Beach. So that will be the location that you see on our brochures, on our website. And then we recently opened up Fort Lauderdale. And that is actually on a hospital campus. It's only 150 yards away from an emergency room. Really great for clients, who are medically acute.
Yeah, I can imagine. Working with in different jobs, like higher acuity clients.
Yeah.
That would have made my life so much easier.
Right?
You're like, doctor!
Yeah, exactly. Just wheel them out.
Yeah.
Here you go. Yeah. No, it's helped a lot. And a lot of people. And then recently we opened up in Orlando. Our sister facility was there, Pasadena Villa, but we rebranded it as Lifeskills just because it made sense, because Pasadena Villa is mostly in Tennessee. So,
okay. Do you guys have a pool?
We sure do. Thank God, not in Orlando, but we do Fort Lauderdale and Deerfield.
That's good. So something I've noticed from working in different treatment centers, including this one where we don't have a pool, but there will always be a client that shows up with like bathing suits on hand. I'm like, no, like, we don't have that.
It's like the age-old lie that like, oh, admissions told me you had a pool. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Not.
I know. I remember unpacking someone's bag at one of the places that we worked together, different places. where someone had like 50 bathing suits on, and I'm like, girl, it's February, we're in Connecticut, and there's no pool.
Yeah.
I don't know what your weekend plans are, but
We're not taking you to the Y right now.
yeah. And so how do you work with Mountainside? Because there's some cross collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mountainside offers, as well as you know, a really great IOP in many different locations, and a lot of locations that we're seeing a lot of clients coming from to us, but they want to return home. So IOPs work really well, for aftercare, and also for clients that they might not fit like the Lifeskills profile. Maybe they are substance use primary and they might not be that acute, and they just might not want to leave Connecticut. And that's a great option for us to use Mountainside, and vice versa. When Mountainside sees a profile for a client that just seems too acute, we are really a great option for them. So yeah, we work together a lot.
And it's awesome for a program like Mountainside to have a place that takes higher acuity clients, because it allows us to like provide the best care we can, and also say like, no, we're not going to be the best fit for you. Well, we're not the best fit.
Right, exactly.
Do you have an alumni program?
We do have an alumni program. I can hook you up with Danny. She's pretty fantastic.
And so when a client is in IOP or in transitional living, what's the length of stay like there?
That's a loaded question.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. Sometimes it's 6 weeks for IOP or PHP, and then another 6 weeks of IOP. And then some clients are with us for a year. We've had a client with us for 7 years in transitional living. They're not in IOP that whole time, but it gives them the ability, if they need programming, they can just walk down the street and go to our programming.
And I know you have, because you're in school.
Mm-hmm.
When do you get your master's?
Unknown.
Okay.
At some point.
TBD.
TBD.
Okay, keep me posted. But you have a lot of professional experience working individually with clients.
Yeah.
And also you have a lot of like clinical training from the bachelor's degree you had in front of your schooling now. How are you able to utilize that in your current role?
Yeah, I think having like a clinical mindset when approaching clients and phone calls, and especially with families, is important. Understanding that like sometimes the words that are coming out of someone's mouth it doesn't give you a full picture of what's actually going on. And it also gives you the patience that is needed, because people will call for help, but they're very angry that they're making that phone call. It's just, yeah, those phone calls are so, they can be very challenging to navigate. And I think like having the clinical background that I do, like working in direct care, it makes it that much easier to be able to just have the patience, be able to tease through like the problem that's going on. And being able to relate both, and being in recovery also helps me really relate to not only the parent, but to the loved one. I keep saying parent, but it's, the person, whoever it is, whether it's, spouse, parent, friends, family members, they all call. They're all, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure being a clinical background and experience being a one-on-one probably helps with being non-reactive and suspending judgment, reflective listening.
Yeah, reflective
active listening.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. A lot of repeating what they're, what they're saying, a lot of validation. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And how, you kind of touched on this, but how does being in recovery influence your work?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know if I'd be doing this specifically, like if I wasn't in recovery. And how it influences my work now. I mean, it gives me a greater depth of understanding. I think sometimes, people are still in the mind frame of, if they wanted to stop, they just stop. And, or why are they taking their medications? And as someone who's in recovery with, I mean, there's multiple, it's just like, yeah. So I think it gives me more understanding. It helps. It really helps being in recovery. Like I think, but it doesn't it doesn't mean that someone who's not in recovery can't do this work, but I think it helps me relate to the people who are seeking treatment.
Totally. And there's also a very specific flavor of desperation when you're in the depths of alcoholism or addiction, and being able to relate to that, I think, can be very helpful. Because also a lot of times, you'll hear this a lot, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot working in treatment, where it's the clients can sniff out who's in recovery on the staff.
Yeah.
They can tell 100%.
Yeah, they can.
They have a nose for it.
Yeah. And sometimes, what we were talking about, it's people will kind of slip in the, AA buzzwords, or people, you can tell.
Oh, yeah. If I'm talking to some random person, they're like, today I live a life beyond my wildest dreams, and I've been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence. I'm like, me too, bro.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
What are you doing later? One day at a time.
Wink, yeah.
And is it interesting? Because I know from your first job in treatment, a lot of the people that you started with in the very entry-level position, working as support staff or client services, a lot of you are now professionals and bigger positions within the field. What is it like growing up professionally alongside these people?
I can speak a lot to that. I still have trouble being I'm a professional now.
I get it.
I'm 33 years old, and I still I'm 27. I really can't see past that. But the people that I have grown with professionally are the people that I got sober with. They are my best friends. They were in my wedding. They are the people that held me through the hardest times. In my sobriety, we are the little group that I'm in are so blessed. A lot of us, they go out. And we didn't do that. We basically helped start up a program and went through some wild times, as you know.
Yeah, I yelled at Meghan. I yelled at Meghan really loudly one specific time. Sorry about that.
It's cool. I've forgiven you. Moved on. I'm in my fourth step. But I have an endless amount of gratitude for, the women that I've surrounded myself with the last 10 years. Because I started working in the treatment field when I was 6 months sober. Sometimes I'm I really wish I could change that, but
it's very early.
Yeah, it is very early. Not recommended. Just want to put that on the podcast. Mm-hmm. However, when I said, I'm I would change that if I could. But honestly, it's, if we changed anything in our past, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I do live a life beyond my wildest dreams. And that is all because, the people in AA, but also because of the women that I've been with for forever.
You don't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wish to shut the door on some of it, but, yeah.
We're only human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing you guys grow within your career, at least from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
But you're able to leverage all the skills you've built into being so effective in this role. Because I always think it's so important for any person working in this field, having that one-on-one, entry-level position. I think that makes you so much better and more effective at any position you're in.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was told early on. The guy that hired me at my first career, well, first of all, when he asked me if there was anything that it should be, he was like, is anything going to pop up on your record? And I was like, definitely.
Yeah.
He's you're hired. Yeah. But he also told me, he said, I know this is entry level, but you not only know where we're getting the toilet paper from, but you also know all of the ins and outs of the clinical. He was all of the clients and how this program was built. And that's so valuable, and it will transfer into every aspect of your career moving forward. And it really does. I have so much more respect for the people, I know what it's like to be on the floor. It's not an easy gig.
No.
And I know that I'm not, person walking in with the the coffees and the pastries and being like, hey guys, everything's great. Is the facility tour ready? I know what it's like to be the floor staff running around with the broom, making sure the, facility's tour ready. So just like having that empathy, like I think it goes a long way because they're like, oh, you actually get it. I'm like, yeah, half these pastries are for you, girl.
Yeah. No, that's nice. I remember like scrubbing the staircase before like a tour came in. I'm like
yeah, with the toothbrush.
Yeah.
Brutal. Yeah, totally. But it's, it's necessary. And like those, I'm sure I've said this to you before, but it's character building. It's like the most annoying thing to hear, but it's so true.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And how do you, because obviously when you're working in this field for long enough, you're going to see a lot of people either make it and grow these big, beautiful lives, or you're going to see people like not make it. You're going to end up losing a lot of people inevitably. How do you maintain hope and like continue the installation of hope both personally and professionally when at the end of the day we're always going to be on the other side of like a losing battle to a certain extent, just statistically?
Yeah, and I think it's just having that reality check to know that not everyone's going to make it. That same guy who was like, you're not going to save everyone. Mm-hmm. That's an unrealistic thing. Because if you think about it, like I always call them like the rehab class, it's really only like 25%, not even 25% of you are going to make it. And it's hard. Like, I'm not going to say that it gets easier each time you lose someone. It still stings the same way. It's just like your coping skills grow over the years of like how, it's like, I'm not going to drink. I am going to go to a meeting. I am going to share about it. I'm going to call my sponsor. I'm going to talk to a friend about it. And just having that understanding that, and not everyone makes it, but it's the people who do make it that make it all worth it. I think back on like the girls that I cased, and so many of you, I got a picture of all the girls that I cased in a wedding.
Yeah.
Like that, like I sent it to, many of your case managers, other, case managers. And, it was like, this is what makes it worth it. Years later, like you reflect on it and you're like, this is really what makes it worth it. So.
And I like that you mentioned like calling people, reaching out to your network and stuff when things are hard. Because it's one of the biggest transitions from use to sobriety is you're not alone anymore.
Yeah.
You have people you can lean on.
That's the most important thing. I was so isolated when I was using. I had a lot of fair weather friends, mostly at the bar, but when I was like in real desperate need, there was only a couple people I could call on. And coming into AA, it's really important. Like you have to like build your community. I know the phone is really heavy at times, but when you learn to pick it up, it's like your life opens up.
And I also love that you brought up seeing the people that make it, like that really lighting up your world and filling your cup. I feel the same way when I see alumni that come through Mountainside come back to the Friday night meeting to get their year coin, and they like introduce me to their families and their wives. They're like, oh, you're who's been calling and checking. Like, thank you. Like that. I'll be riding high for like at least a good day after that. Like I feel so that makes it all worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's the same thing like we see in AA. We lose a lot of people. But when we see that newcomer come up and get their year coin and then their 2-year coin and their 3-year coin, that one person makes up for the 5 that didn't make it.
I love saying newcomer with 1 year. Because I remember when I was younger, I was like, once I get a year, I'm good. I get some long-term recovery. I'm done. I'm healed.
I remember someone saying to me, because I was like, I did say that out loud. And someone was like, the next day is just 356. Mm-hmm. It's not just going to magically get better. And then, at 4.5 years sober, I was like, okay,
yeah.
Something's got to change. So
I didn't hit peak form until like year 5. I can't imagine if I stopped maturing at like 1.
I don't know if I'm still in peak form. I think I'm just going to be in early recovery forever.
Yeah, well, it's like a Pokémon evolution chart. Just keep getting bigger and like more powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. All right. I love you. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yes, I love you too.
Lifeskills sounds incredible, and it makes you want to go to Florida. I'll brave the humidity to go.
Yeah. well, your hair would look fantastic down there. So
I was like a tumbleweed. All right. Thank you for coming.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching The Sober Spell. If you want to see more, follow us here. If you want to see more of Meghan, follow our socials to see more clips, and her information will be linked below.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, Mountainside can help. Call 860-365-6764 to speak with our caring treatment team.